and I thought the member handled it quite well. I call the honourable member
Mr. Speaker, I'd just like to point out to the hysterical member across the House who spoke before me that David Shearer earned that money himself, that he didn't get handed it in a brown paper bag, that he volunteered the information of his own volition, he didn't get found out, and that he didn't break the law, unlike that member. Mr. Speaker, there's another debacle on this government's doorstep, another debacle of its own making. This was the one that was going to be the step change in our economy. Stephen Joyce and John Key's ill-thought-out ultra-fast broadband scheme and Chorus's inability to deliver it. It's developing into a giant stuff-up. It's a huge political risk to this government, and they know it. It's a classic case of over-promising and under-delivering. Think big without the think. Mismanagement and shonky deals. You take $1.5 billion of taxpayers' money, you give most of it to a private company, Chorus, which has a majority of foreign shareholders, and you promise that you'll have most of New Zealand signed up to your whiz-bang ultra-fast broadband scheme within 10 years, and then you get to year 5, Mr. Speaker, year 5, and so far just 3,806 households have signed up. That's 0.28%. They're going to have to work hard to get them all signed up, because so far they've only laid fibre to just past 8% of households, and they're worried. And schools, Mr. Speaker, fibre has been laid to quite a few schools, but are they using it? No. And why aren't they using it? Well, they tell me because there's nothing to use it for, and they'll have to pay the increased data costs out of their already stretched operations budgets. Budgets stretched by sorting out Novapay, a debacle of the highest order also being faced by this government, another giant stuff-up. So their very fast broadband scheme is very slow to take off. That's one big problem for them. The other very big problem is that this government wants to interfere in the price that we pay for our existing broadband, interfere in a way that borders on corruption and at very least is contempt. The Commerce Commission thinks the price that we pay on the existing copper network should drop. It said so just before Christmas. It came out with a decision because that's its job. But the Prime Minister didn't like their decision. They threatened to change the law. Why? Because Chorus complained to them. Why? Because if the price of your monthly broadband and phone on the copper network is lower than the prices on the government's new fibre network, then people won't sign up to it. They won't sign up to the new broadband scheme. It's his own fault. It's the government's fault. They negotiated the contract. They wrote the very law 2 years ago. So the government's threatening to change its own law that it passed 2 years ago and manipulate things. And who's going to win? Well, it won't be the consumer, Mr. Speaker. It'll be Chorus, a private company, and its overseas shareholders. Ross Patterson, the former Telecommunications Commissioner for the Commerce Commission, described it as unprecedented. These people hardly ever speak out in public, but he did. He said the government had crossed the line of political interference. Sound familiar? Think Sky City deals. Think $43 million loans to MediaWorks. Think the change of law to suit Warner Brothers in making The Hobbit. Think the conflicted role of Stephen McElrea, the Prime Minister's own electorate chairman on the board of New Zealand On Air. And think the Prime Minister's knowledge of and involvement in the illegal surveillance of Kim.com by the GCSB and the FBI. An unfolding story, Mr. Speaker. This government will do what it likes. It'll abuse the law, it'll abuse the contract processes, and if it does not like the law, it'll either ignore it or it'll change it, and then it'll pretend it can't remember or it doesn't really matter. And there's more. Chorus is now telling us that it's going to cost at least another $300 million more than its contract to lay fibre. It's got its hand out, and who's going to end up paying for it? Well, it'll be the poor old taxpayer, won't it? Because John Key and Stephen Joyce are looking after their mates, and they've stuffed up They've stuffed up big time, possibly even bigger than Novapay. And who's going to bear the cost? It'll be the consumer. But it won't work because changing the terms of Chorus's contract to prop up its flawed scheme will be crossing too many lines, and it'll be a step too far. Stephen Joyce will wear this mess.
I call the honourable member Dr. Paul Hutchison.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good memory and judgment and good